Don't be shy, 'cause life won't bring you down too far.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. It's weighing day, fight camp, week 4, joined by, not really a late arriving, Dave Coldwell. Returning, that's a better one. Returning Dave Coldwell, who was let out of his cage last night.
Yeah.
You had quite a short waiting there though.
Yeah, it wasn't bad because it was only, I think it was 4 tests yesterday. So I didn't have the whole 18 hours that I've had in the previous 2. So I managed to get out late last night, and yeah, and I managed to watch Dillian do a bit of pads and a bit of training.
So this is nothing surprises us in boxing anymore, but it was. I think it did. Everyone was like, "Oh, Dave's brought in the big guns. Dave's coming in," but it kind of makes sense.
I was when I looked at my phone. I got my message.
But just looking at it from an outside perspective, the experience of Mark Tibbs isn't there, so I'm sure the team is adequate to go in there and do a job, but they're bringing you in, and it kind of makes sense why they're bringing you in. So just explain to me the process of how this come about. So
I've always got on with Dillian. I always get on with him. You know, Instagram, the days of Instagram, people always messaging and keeping in touch and whatever. See him at shows, have a bit of a laugh and whatever. And then I got a couple of weeks ago got a message off him saying I might need you for a fight night, if that's all right. And sometimes you get asked things, a lot, and nothing happens to them. So I'm at that point where, yeah, all right, and it's just yeah, no problem if you need. That's it. That was it. And then so we still keep in touch about other stuff, blah blah, as you do. He always mentions me about his football and things like that. And then I put a post up when I left here after Hope's fight, and I put a post up with my story. I got home or something like that, and he sent me a message saying, "Don't forget you're back in quarantine next week." I was like, "Oh, okay." So it's happening, and that was it. And then it moves on from there. So yeah, it's nice to be back. But it was weird when I was going because I was like, "Oh, that's it you do it," and I was like, "Yeah, that's me done." But I'm thinking I might be back. I don't know, because I don't take anything until I'm here. Once I'm here, then I'm here. That's it.
He's the sort of person, Dillian, to like invite you to a party next year, tell you the date like a year in advance, and then don't mention it. You don't turn up to the party and go,
kick off.
Why did you come? I invited you.
Yeah, I know a few people like that, and that's why I kind of like left it, and you don't take it as real. You know, I didn't. All I'd said to my family was, I might be back in fight camp. I don't know. That was it. I might be back in fight camp. I don't know. And obviously I told Lou, and kids were like, "Well, who are you going to be with?" And I'm like, "I'm not telling you. If it happens, it happens." And that's kind of like what I was like, until I know it's definite.
Well, you don't even tell your wife.
Yeah, I told my wife. I didn't tell my kids.
I was going to say,
I didn't tell because my kids love. Listen, my kids love Chisora, Bellew, David Even, and Dillian. You know, the big fans of these guys. So I didn't want to tell them I'm working with Dillian for them to get excited, and then it doesn't actually happen. And then I look like some sort of mug to my kids, so I just kept it quiet. I said to my wife, I said, I might be back in fight camp. I said, Dillian's messing me, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
From a personal perspective, why did you want to get involved with Dillian and the caller on Saturday?
I love boxing. I love what I do. Whether I've worked as a cutman for people, you know, we had a move with Andy Lee over to Vegas for his world title fights, and I've worked with Adam before. I've worked with other people as cutsman. I've worked just to give an hand in the corner. I don't mind. I love the sport, so I don't need to be head trainer and all that. You know, if somebody, and if it's a friend, if it's somebody I like and they ask you for your help, then you don't mind helping out. And it's a massive fight. Listen, I was going to watch this fight anyway. You know. It's a great fight. I said, funny enough, somebody brought up a tweet an old tweet of mine from 2 years ago. Dilly mentioned it yesterday, where 2 years ago I'd said Dillian against Povetkin's fight that I want to see. What a great fight, yeah. 2 years later, I'm actually working and I'm involved.
So you
in
were
it.
setting it up from
Planting
there.
seeds subconsciously.
So I'm assuming you guys had a chat last night with the team as well. So we're assuming Xavier Miller is kind of taking the lead.
He's been his coach for the last God knows how many months while they've been out in Portugal. You know, he's a coach. He's whatever he's been working on. He's been working on, and that's what they're working towards game plan for Saturday night. I've just been brought in just as an extra set of eyes, just to see things, spot things. Regardless of what you want to say, I've been involved in a lot of fights, a lot of big fights, a lot of important fights, big events, and you pick up things, you learn things, you know. But at the same time, is you work as a team in a corner. You know, my first ever corner was Richie Wenton in a British title fight against Scott Harrison. That was my first ever corner with one of my fighters, and I had Darky Smith as the head cornerman, and I was just there because I wasn't experienced. It's my first corner, so it happens. You know what I mean? You see a lot of big fighters. They have two coaches in the corner and things like that. As long, you know, as long as you're all there to work for the same goal, then it works. It can work.
I suppose it works well with you because you know you can have too many egos in a corner where it's like, even though you know Xavier is the head trainer, you could, not saying you're like this, but you could, they didn't obviously want someone that was going to kind of clash with him in the corner and be too opinionated when he didn't need to. But you ain't like that, are you? So you'll kind of.
But what I am is I am quite vocal in a corner.
You're vocal.
I won't speak over somebody,
and
but during the rounds I am quite vocal.
Yeah.
So. And I've been told not to take that away from me,
yeah.
You know, because that was what I was a little bit. Oh, hang on a minute, because if I'm sat on row E, you can hear my big mouth. If there's a fight going on with somebody that I like and somebody that I want to win, I'm vocal then. So when I'm actually there to help somebody try and win a fight, then I am vocal. I mean, I'm with my own fighters, whatever, you know. So. You are going to hear me, you know, or should I say Dillian will probably hear me, but that's what I've been brought in for.
But no, what I'm saying is there are trainers out there that would probably try and, not try, but they just, through it being naturally to them, take over the situation because that's what they're used to doing. But I suppose you're working as part of a team and knowing...
I'm a second man and I'm there if I'm needed. If I'm not needed, I'm not needed. If everything's going to plan and there's nothing for me to say, and then I'm just sat there and I've got the best seat. I was going to say for free, but no, it's paid for tickets, but I've got the best seat in the house.
But my basic point was you haven't got an ego.
No, ego's for my fighters.
There we go.
No, to be fair, we've all got an ego, haven't we?
Everyone's got an ego,
we want to win.
What I'm saying is...
That's part of it.
I just feel like I could name a few trainers that it wouldn't be a good fit into that corner where you've got to realise that you are the second person. But, yeah, I think it's a good call from Team White to bring you in. How many times has Derek Chisora texted you?
It did text me. It's just because Sky went big with it. I was like, and then he sent me a screenshot of Sky's post, and he went, "Is this true?" And I just say, "Yeah." So I'm just a second pair of eyes. That's all. Is that cool? Is it? I'm not working for Derek now, but so you know, it is what it is.
No, but we kind of assumed that Derek would have said something to you at some point. But
no,
yeah,
that's all it was. That's all it was. Yeah, Derek's cool. Listen, Derek's got his own fight to prepare for, and his own goals and everything like that. While ever they're not clashing, then Derek's kind of guy that he wants Dillian to well. He wants British fighters to do well. Do you know what I mean? It's very patriotic.
Between the two of them, you're right.
Yeah.
And also, Ruben used to work with Derek.
Yeah.
Xavier used to work with Derek. So,
yeah. And Pete as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think to be fair, I think that's the only reason why I've been brought in, because I used to work with Derek.
Well, we'll see after Saturday. It could be a masterstroke. We're hoping it is. But just the fighting in general, Dave. It's still a dangerous fight. I mean, regardless of what age Povetkin is, and we don't know kind of as Povetkin's getting older how his legs are, what's left in the tank for Povetkin, but we know that he can punch.
Yeah.
And he's
and you know, in those bursts where he goes to work,
yes,
that's the key. That's the key, because when he puts those bursts together, it might as well be fresh and young, because that's what happens with a lot of old fighters. As we age, we mould our style to what suits for physical capabilities. So whereas maybe when he was younger he could go and go and go and go, now everything's condensed. So he'll be a little bit of a sly fox and be cagey and tricky, looking for those openings. And then when he sees those openings, then he can put maximum effort into those bursts. On the end, if you stay safe throughout those bursts, and on the end of those bursts, if then you can make him work, that's when you can get him to feel his age a little bit more, because he likes to pinch breathers a little bit more often, as we all do as we get older. But he's still a very, very good fighter. He's still very, very dangerous. He does things that are quite unorthodox for a heavyweight fighter, you know, and little things where as he's taking his head across, he's throwing the overhand right, taking his head across, he's throwing the left up. He can close the range down really well, and if you just stand right in front of him, he'll tee off on you. You know, it's an exciting fight because styles make fights, and the way that Dillian fights, you know, he ain't gonna go in there like Muhammad Ali, and start floating around the ring. You know that there are going to be exchanges. You know that there's going to be shots landing and shots swinging. So it is an exciting fight, but it's a dangerous fight. And I know they've tagged it maximum violence, but it's got to be sprinkled with a little bit of intelligence in there as well, and some smarts. Packed in smoking yet, Daddy?
No.
Okay, you need
It's
to think about
soon.
that. Because
I know that. I know that. I'm
you know.
aware of. He's only suffered, 2 defeats to
I know,
Klitschko and Joshua. I mean, he's not
elite level.
And he's been in with pretty much everyone over the years, over like a 15-year spell or whatever.
Do you know what a key for me is? A lot of people talking about the Hunter fight. Oh, he looked this, he looked that. Right. A big thing with that is if you'd have the mentality of the man, right? If he'd have been, this is, you know, towards the end of my career, just another couple of paydays or whatever, you know, that early onslaught from Hunter, and he was in trouble, and he was, you know, and it looked like he was going to be wiped out really at one point. He'd have kind of like gone through the motions and lost the fight. His pride and everything, probably just lost the fight on points. But he dogged it out. He gritted his teeth, and he kept pushing it, and he dragged the result out of a loss really. And that shows you the mentality of him. That shows you where he wants to be in the sport. He's not done yet, you know. Also, attitudes as well, because you can perhaps look at Hunter until you get in the ring with him, and perhaps think, he's a little cruiserweight that's come up, you know, into big boy division. I've been in with all these big guys. He's not going to stand up to my power. And perhaps taken Hunter a little bit lightly. I think that was Hunter's breakout fight really in the division, where everyone's gone, because that is a really good result, and a lot of people thought Hunter won it. Some people thought Povetkin won it. So maybe he could have taken Hunter a little bit lightly in that fight. Looking at him now, I've seen him, you know, doing a little bit of workout and everything. Like I said, it's not all high energy constantly, but what he does is very, very good, very, very dangerous. He puts his shots together very well, really sharp, really fast, and very, very accurate. So it's a very dangerous fight, a really dangerous fight.
I think I read yesterday that Hunter's actually backing Povetkin for this fight, isn't he?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise, because he shared a ring with him, and
Yeah,
he knows.
of
Like
course.
this, what I'm saying is you can think that with somebody that's getting older, when old fighters usually, when it's going their way, they're all right. They can keep going. Once it starts getting put on them, it's very hard for them to dig down and drag it out themselves to keep in there with such a, you know, younger, more energetic sort of fighter. And let's get this right. Hunter stylistically is all wrong for Povetkin anyway, because of his moves, his angles, his sharpshooting. You know, the shots that he throws that were giving Povetkin problems were the shots that Povetkin couldn't see. but he adapted, and that's what was very good about Povetkin, is he adapts and he works things out. A lot of these Russian fighters are, and he's got all this bank of experience of being in with all these different fighters, sparring all these different fighters, and at the top level, that he susses things out as he go along, and so he adapted in that fight, and then it became a case of where he, that's what got him the result out of it. But again, I'll go back to saying, if ambition and where he sees himself in the game, if he didn't think that he still had another world title shot in him, and if he wasn't driven for that, he'd have kind of just settled for a points loss out in Saudi Arabia. Who cares, and it had just gone out like that. But he didn't, and looking at the shape he's in right now, they're here and they're serious.
Okay, Dave, thanks for this little morning interview. We're not that early, it's 9 o'clock.
No.
But some people it's early, not to us obviously, or you, you're probably up at 5.
Some of us have been, doing a bit of training and stuff.
Prison training.
Yeah, I came down to go in the gym, and Povetkin was in there on the treadmill. I was like, oh, okay. Turn around, went into the boxing gym. Luca Clay's already in there, just doing a little stretch. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to do a run on the little bit of prison yard.
Which has got bigger.
Every time I come back, it's getting bigger and bigger.
They've pushed it back more, just because obviously Dillian's Winnebago.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got to have a word with him, because he's parked that there. That's taken out our football, tennis. I've come back expecting, to
cricket, football.
Cricket.
I'm not really a cricket guy.
I'm not.
But it's fun to watch, actually, especially watching Gareth A. Davies, who's actually a very good bowler, by the way. Okay, Dave, I'll let you crack on with your day. Got the weigh-in today, and fight night tomorrow, and fight camp's over.
I know. It's been good. Do you know what? It's been a wicked experience, and the funny thing is, I heard somebody say something about this this morning, actually. I always do it while I'm involved in big events and things that are going off, Bell Unites and things like that. You don't enjoy it while you're in it, because of the pressures and because of what you're doing. You're here to do a job. But then after, you look back and think, wow. And this is one of those things. It's like, this is probably never going to happen again. I hope it never has to happen again. If it happens, it's a choice. But the whole thing, the quarantine, the strictness on the security and all that sort of stuff, and just how they've turned everything into media centres and gyms and stuff. It's been brilliant. It's been a brilliant experience, and there is only a handful of us that have experienced it. So it is something quite unique, and it's a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought, beforehand, I thought, oh my God, because I had 2 fighters in the first 2. I thought basically 2 weeks of quarantine down. Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. But we've had a good giggle. We've made the best of circumstances. And it's been a good experience. It's been a good laugh.
Absolutely, Dave Coldwell. Thank you very much for talking to IFL TV.
Cheers, Matt.
And we'll catch up with you over the weekend.
Thanks, Matt.
Don't be shy, 'cause life won't bring you down too far.